Are you ready to be unleashed and unstoppable?
Are you ready to experience a breakthrough and step into your next level of leadership?
Living a life of power, purpose, and possibility on your own terms, unapologetically.
This podcast is for discovering how to play big, how to be unleashed and unstoppable.
Through wiring inner success at the source as you step into your full potential as a wildly ambitious leader.
We are
Alexanne Carter and
Carol Register. We are certified Master Neurocoaches and the founders of Unleashed and Unstoppable You.
We're best known for being confidence-boosting, neurohacking, productivity, and wealth experts.
And for high-achieving leaders, visionaries, and entrepreneurs.
Now let's be unleashed and unstoppable.
Hello, we are so excited to be here with you today at Unleashed and Unstoppable and bringing you the best of the best information. We are talking today, part 2 to our last episode about becoming fearless. Walking into your courage, your confidence, your bravery. And we are really leaning in here to what is possible for you. We have walked through this ourselves. And Alex, I want to turn it over to you because I know you have an amazing story for us.
So we talk about fearless, we talked last episode, like fear is, it's a natural thing we're going to feel, right? We're going to experience. Yeah. However, fear is something that is created over time. Fear is something that you develop over time based on experiences, based on things you hear from people. And it is this compound interest that does build up over time. And where I see this is so much as in my daughter. My daughter is now like 20 months old when we're recording this podcast. And, I'm often hearing from other people, like, she's fearless. She's fearless. And I find myself saying that too. She's fearless. She's fearless. And so it made me realize, first of all, we're not born with fear, right? We're actually born fearless. Fear is something that develops over time. And when I take a look at her, I'm looking and observing her, like, how is it that she's fearless? What is it about her that has her be fearless? And I really came to notice 3 things that has supported her in being fearless. So the first thing is really, she's very clear in what it is that she wants. She is really clear when we're at the park and she sees the big kids climbing the play structure. She's very clear that she wants to be able to do what they do. So the first step is, I think for you, the listener, like, is being really clear on what is it that you want. Being really clear on what it is that you want. Now, the second thing, after she's really clear on what that she wants, like for her, right, in this case, climbing the play structure, the second thing is that she's also surrounded by someone who's mastered it, right? So she's watching somebody who's already been able to achieve the thing that she wants to achieve. And so as high achievers, a lot of times what happens is we do surround ourselves by those that have accomplished what we want to accomplish. But then we start to experience imposter syndrome, this comparinitis, right? Because we're comparing ourselves from the person who's ahead of us versus looking at them as a mentor, as someone who can guide us, as someone who can show us the way. And then the third thing that I noticed with Abby is that she has me by her side, right? Yeah. She knows that I'm there to catch her if she falls. So she's not alone. And Carol, what is the one thing that we often see a lot of time with the men and women that we work with?
Is that lone wolfing, as we call it. Yeah, just that idea that as high achievers, we have to figure it out alone. We have to come up with the solution. There's not anybody available to help us. There's not anybody who's going to be the right fit to help us. So we have to figure it all out. And it's such a lie. Such a lie. So I absolutely love that point. I love the way you've brought these 3 points out. And how powerful is that? What we can learn from a child, right? It really is that simple. And being able to walk into being fearless is a part of us stepping into our power. And I think people think of power as a scary word, but it's really about you being able to do what you were brought here on this earth to do, walking into your purpose and your passion. Yeah.
And I think like to even that extension piece, and you could even see it as like a bonus thing, is that watching Abby, she's not afraid to fall, because she does know that I'm there to catch when she falls, but she's not afraid, because she knows that I'm there for her, and she's not afraid to fail. Right. And how many of you listeners out there are afraid to fail, are afraid that if you fail, it's going to mean something about you, right? It's going to make you look weak. It's going to make you look not good enough. It's going to mean something about you, your skills and your abilities. And I really, I really wrestled with this term fail. I mean, I know it's not a very positive word, right? It's actually seen as like not like a very negative word, but if you can reframe the word fail. So what I look at it is like the first attempt in learning. And if I look at it each time as the first attempt in learning, and I watch Abigail, right? She tries to climb, and then she falls, and she gets back up and she tries again, because she is so determined. And that's why having really like that clarity on your vision, right? We've talked in earlier episodes, the importance of really defining what does success look like to you.
Yeah.
And then being so focused on that, right? On that destination, on where is it you want to be going, and acknowledging that the falling piece, the feeling piece is part of the process. And you get to just, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, start all over again, that you're going to learn every time, right? We've spoken into a little bit about, every breakdown creates a breakthrough. And that's what that is. And it's the fear oftentimes that holds you back. So that's how you become fearless, is not being afraid, or allowing the fear and allowing what it could mean about your identity, about you, who you are, about your success.
Yeah.
And being detached from that, right? Being detached from what that could mean about you. So I love that. I just admire like watching my daughter grow and figure it out, right? Like we know, like children learning to run starts with in most cases crawling, right? And before that there's rolling. But just to see the sheer determination in her that's where I started to really just look at, how does she become fearless?
That is such a beautiful thing, that persistence and that willingness to go for it, right? And it's almost like we go for that, and we have some challenging experiences, and all of a sudden we pull back. Oh no, I'm not going to be safe here. Oh no, I'm not going to be approved of. And those pieces that you were leaning into there, that need for certainty. And one of my favorite comparisons of fear from Jen Gottlieb is that it's not that you're ever going to necessarily be without fear, because there is people around us who will have an energy of fear that, even if we're not thinking that way, that are going to bring it alongside of us. Or, the idea of believing in something that hasn't been created yet, or you haven't seen yet, those fears and doubts creep in as a normal part of the process of the brain keeping us safe. So the way that she put it, which I really loved, was instead of fear sitting in the driver's seat and driving the car, keeping you from doing those things that you want to do, instead you put fear in the passenger seat. It's there. You acknowledge it, you notice it, and you're in control. You're the one who gets to choose whether you want to move forward, whether you want to take the action, whether you want to play big and go for your dreams and goals, and becoming unleashed and unstoppable. And I just want to add, also that within the Diamond Transformation Program, there is a success workbook that is personalized specifically for you. And that is such an important piece that Alex brought up about how you get to define what success is for you, and you get to then go for it.
We live in such a conditioned society, right? I mean, we are surrounded by the social media, the media. I mean, and even the way that you grew up, you know, you become conditioned to live a certain way, make certain decisions. And part of a lot of times where you may be experiencing fears, maybe it's because the way that you have been taught and the way society has had you grow up and conditioned you is not actually in alignment with how you really want to be living and how you want to be showing up and the life that you do want to live. And so when you break free from that, right, there are some fears, there are some unknowns. And because you are so conditioned in a certain way, that's what your brain knows. And that's what's safe to your brain. So when you start to go against the grain and you want to do things differently, well, your brain's going to have like an alarm flashing, being like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, that's not safe. Right. And it's going to have you experience all of these things. And so that's why it goes back to having really like that clarity on what it is, what is your vision, right? Yeah. So the visualize, right? Like my daughter seeing the bigger kids. She has a clear she can clearly see what it is that she wants. And this is the power of the work that Carol and I do with our clients inside the Diamond Transformation Group, is actually supporting them in getting clarity on that vision, and not just a simple 2D vision. Like, we go much deeper to be able to activate the brain to support the vision creation, so that you can actually teach your brain that where you want to go, your destination, is actually the new safe. You actually have the power through what we teach our clients to actually do that. So it's a process. It's a simple step-by-step process, but you actually have the ability, which is part of the power of being fearless, to be able to, get clarity on that, define what that is, make the declaration, and then be able to, now with that alignment piece, take those decisions, take those actions, and then create the results align with that vision, and shifting the focus of your fear, right?
And shifting the focus of your fear, such a key point. And, you mentioned alignment, and you will notice that throughout this podcast, this Unleashed and Unstoppable podcast, we will constantly go back to the point of your identity and your values. And because our brains need to be in alignment. We are integrated beings, and it's not just our brains, it's our hearts as well. We dive deep into incorporating the heart with the work that we do, and the heart has its own brain, which is really cool. Heart has neurons. The heart has short and long-term memory and communicates with the headquarters multiple times per day. The reason that I bring this up is because leaning in and acknowledging and validating, and then also walking in alignment with your values. We always go back to that, because when you are in alignment and everything is conjoined and working together, that's when things flow. And that also releases fear. When things are flowing, when they're in alignment, when you're operating and creating by your identity and your place of being, it gets really powerful. And that's where we have seen some amazing results in the clients that we have worked with, moving through this process. And I personally have experienced these results, and I know that you have as well, Alex. And that's part of the reason we get so on fire about bringing this information to you and letting you know what's possible. And I just want to refer quickly back to something that was in part one, where Alex asked the questions, what happens if the worst outcome happens? What happens if the best outcome happens? And in line with that, asking yourself, what if? What if everything that I am wanting to do in this moment turns out right? What if everything that I want to happen turns out right? So it's another way of dealing when those thoughts of fear come up. It's a very quick exercise. We also have a very wonderful exercise inside called Deciding in Advance, DIA, that we'll be talking about in the future in the Diamond Transformation Program. And we really want you to come inside our program and go even deeper to an even deeper level of becoming unleashed and unstoppable and absolutely fearless. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I mean, we go through life, and like I said earlier, like there's a compound interest that leads to the fears that we are feeling. But the freedom that we can experience when we can make the conscious choice of driving alongside our fear, right? And having clarity on the direction that we're going to, really be able to define whatever success means to us, and then being able to step into that, knowing that you're surrounded by other like-minded individuals heading down a similar path to you, there to support you, there to catch you, right? During your first attempt on learning, is so empowering. Because I don't know how many times you've heard this, but I heard this a lot in my journey, that leadership was lonely. Leadership was lonely at the top. And a lot of high performers, time and time again, my clients are always sharing how they feel that they're alone. They have no idea that there are, hundreds and thousands of other men and women out in the world that actually feel just like them, experience similar fears. They want to be fearless, but yet they have, a whole, let's talk about like a trunk, right, in the back of the car full of all these past experiences that are keeping them safe, and that are stopping them from being unleashed and unstoppable. And so I think, why Carol and I are so passionate about this is because we were there too. We were there feeling burnt out, feeling stuck, feeling frustrated, feeling exhausted, feeling defeated, feeling like a failure, right? Not feeling good enough.
Feeling anxious. Yeah.
And then we learned, the power of our brain. We learned about, that our brains are just doing its job, but we have the ability with certain tools to be able to shift that and educate the brain, essentially, right? And teach the brain that our success and what it is that we want to create gets to be the new normal, the new safe. And the things that we've been able to, for ourselves, our clients, has been unbelievable, because you're able to step into that, and you're able to embody that, and you're able to, feel, pardon me, feel, oh my goodness, feel fearless.
Tongue twister.
Yeah.
That was good. And the points we can learn from Abigail in releasing that fear, Abby, is so powerful. I just absolutely love that. That, she was clear, and she was surrounded with those who were doing what she wanted to do, and she had support and, somebody there to catch her. I think this is such a wonderful way to lean into becoming fearless. And the powerful, exciting news that we continue to bring you as we are delivering you ways to become unleashed and unstoppable is something we are full on committed to and excited to do. And we want to wrap up this episode with letting you know that we want you to subscribe. It helps us, and we really want to bring you the best of the best information in becoming unleashed and unstoppable. And Alex, where can we reach you?
So you can find me on Instagram at alex.leanne.carter and on Facebook at Productivity Secrets of High Performing Female Leaders. And I also wanted to send the invitation out to share with friends, right? Like share if you know you have some friends of yours that could really benefit, are experiencing fear. We talked about that in our last episode, really want to be fearless. Please share this podcast, share it, far and wide with those other high performers, because again, right, a lot of high performers feel like they're alone. So if you have other high performers in your life, please share this with them.
Yes. And thank you for sharing ahead of time. Well, thank you right now. We want to let you know that the Diamond Transformation is available at www.successuniquelyyours.com. Go check it out, and we'd love to have you dive in. We'll be opening up the cart soon, and it will be the only time it will be open this year until 2023. So we're excited to bring that information to you. You can reach me at Carol Register on LinkedIn, Carol Register 9 on Twitter, and at the Success Uniquely Yours Facebook group. So we can't wait to see you next time.
We can't wait to see you being fearless and unstoppable and unleashed. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unleashed Unstoppable podcast with your hosts, Alexandra Carter and Carol Register.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media or leave a rating and review and subscribe.
That's all for this episode, Wildly Ambitious Leaders. See you next week.